Hi, I'm Andy Webb from the Money Advice Service. You probably know today has been the budget, the spring budget, and normally when this happens each year, it's kind of the big announcement for how your kind of finances, how the government's plans for the future will affect you over the next 12 months and beyond. It's a little bit different this year because the Chancellor, Philip Hammond, said he's not going to have a spring budget anymore, he's going to move it until the autumn. So this year there's going to be two budgets, and this one, as a result, was pretty quiet. There wasn't a huge amount that was announced. But there are a few things that's worth kind of letting you know about, and the idea is just to tell you how these things might affect you. So we're talking more about those consumer things, those personal finance things, rather than any kind of bigger macro, bigger business stuff. The big news is the stuff that affects people who are self-employed. Now, if you're self-employed, at the moment, you pay less in national insurance contributions than the people who are PAYE, people who have got a job that they go to and they're paid by their employer. So that's going to change. From April 2018, so in a year's time, the Class 4, which is the type of national insurance that self-employed people will be paying, national insurance contributions will increase by 1% to 10%. And then in April 2019, the year after, they go up by 1% more to 11%. Now, at the same time, and this has already been announced, Class 2 national insurance contributions are going to be axed for the self-employed. So it's not going to be that some people will find themselves paying around the same, some people will be paying around 60 pence more a week on average. But then, yeah, that could be big news for you if you're self-employed. Another kind of big change is for people who, if you've got shares at all, and these are shares which are outside of an ISA, because obviously ISAs are already tax-free. If you've got shares in a company, maybe your own company or investments elsewhere, at the moment you can get £5,000 every year in dividends tax-free. Now from April 2018 to, again, not for 12 months, that's going to drop down to £2,000. So it's £3,000 less that you'll be able to take tax-free. Obviously, as I said, any investments you've got in ISAs, any profits you make there will be tax-free still. Now, a few things that will happen kind of sooner. If you're a smoker, you might find your cigarettes get a little bit more expensive because it's now going to be a minimum tax of £7.35 per pack. So you won't really be able to get any cigarettes cheaper than that, because obviously profits on top of that as well by the people who are selling it and the manufacturers. But £7.35 minimum in tax on a pack of cigarettes. If you drink sugary drinks, now it's already been announced that there's going to be a tax, and we've already heard today about some companies got their plans in place to reduce the amount of sugar that's going to be in the things they sell. Well, they've released the figures from April what the extra charges will be. So if there is 5 grams or more of sugar per 100 mils, it's going to be an extra 18p. And for anything where there's 8 grams or more per 100 mil, that's an extra 24p. So if you think about, say, a can of something is normally about 330 mil, and if that has more than 8 grams, then you're looking at over 70p extra going on top of that. But we know a lot of the manufacturers are trying to reduce how much sugar they've got in these things anyway. The government expects to raise about £4 billion from this tax, and that will go to school sports, healthy living projects, stuff like that. Now, something else that's new is a thing called an investment, £5 million in investment for people who've had a long career break. Often, and most likely, that's going to be women and mothers who are returning having brought up their children. So there's going to be investment in trying to better support what's called a returnship and make it easier for people to get back to work after that career break. Not any details yet, just quite how that's going to work out and when that will happen. If you are, or more likely to be your kids, if you think they're going to be studying a technical qualification, well, there's going to be a new T level. So we've already got the A levels, and now we're going to have the T levels, which is for 16 to 19-year-olds to do proper technical qualifications and hopefully give it a bit more parity with A levels. Again, that's not going to start until autumn 2019. So if you've got younger kids, 13, 14-year-olds onwards, maybe it might be something for them. When this does start, it also says that if they're studying the T levels at national colleges or institutes of technology, then they're going to be entitled to maintenance loans. So not too dissimilar to student loans at the moment for students at universities, which might make it easier for them to study. An interesting one is not actually, we don't even know exactly what's going to happen, but it's a green paper, so the plan for what they'd like to do is going to be released in the summer. And this is for all those confusing terms and conditions that you often get. They want to try and make it easier for people to understand. So in the summer, they're going to release that paper, release their plans, and just get consultation on that before it hopefully becomes law. And as part of that, they want to stop those kind of, when you take a free trial and it automatically becomes, a subscription and you might get caught out, they hopefully try and stop that as well. So that'd be really interesting to see what happens there. That might make it a lot better for us consumers and a lot easier for us to understand what's going on. That's pretty much it that's sort of, going to affect us on a kind of day-to-day basis. The Chancellor did talk about a few things which have already been announced. So they're not new, but I kind of may as well let you know a bit more about them. There's a new tax-free childcare scheme. That was always said it was going to start at some point in early 2017. That's now been announced that will start next month, the Chancellor said in his speech. The national living wage, we already knew this, it's going up to £7.50 an hour from April 6th. Savings rates, they've not been great recently, have they? So in the autumn statement, the Chancellor announced this new NSNI bond. It will pay 2.2 interest on deposits of up to £3,000. That will be available, confirmed that will be available from April 6th. The universal credit taper, again confirmed that will drop from 65 pence per pound to 63 pence per pound. And finally, there's no change in the news about personal allowances, the amount of money we can earn before we have to pay tax. That will rise to £11,500 from April, as we already knew, and the higher rate tax bracket will rise to £45,000 in the same time. If you want to get a little bit more detail of this, head over to the Money Advice Service blog, where we've got all this information live, and we'll update that as any more information comes along. I hope you found that useful, and until next time, thanks.